South Africans may soon be required to contribute up to 12% of their earnings to a new government-backed fund if a set of proposals we're looking at the moment are approved. Earlier this week, the Department of Social Development released a green paper on comprehensive social security and retirement reform, and that proposes the creation of a new National Social Security Fund. It's a government-managed fund that will provide both, actually not just both, but retirement, disability and unemployment benefits, while employers and employees will initially be obliged to contribute up to 12% of qualifying earnings, up to a ceiling which is currently proposed at about $18,400 a year. Effectively, that means South Africans will be paying about $184 a month to that particular fund. The first 10% of that contribution will go into the mandatory fund rather than a retirement fund. The next 2% will go into unemployment insurance. All right, then, so let's explore some of these proposals in the Green Paper in detail. Pete Snell is the Tax Project Director at the South Africa Institute for Chartered Accountants. He's joining us now live on the program. Thank you for your time this evening. So how does the current system of pension contributions and unemployment benefits look like compared to what is being proposed in this Green Paper?
Yes, good evening to you and thank you. The current retirement savings regime is that it's persons in employment that will generally contribute to a pension fund or provident fund of their employer. And if the individual is not in employment, they will contribute to a retirement annuity fund. So it's where you have a formal employment arrangement and the employer has a pension and provident fund, you will contribute to that fund, and if not, to a retirement annuity fund. These contributions are not mandatory, prescribed by government, that is. It normally flows from your employment contract. That is the requirement of you as an employee to contribute that. You contribute roughly, and that gives you some tax deductions, you contribute roughly up to a maximum of 27.5% of your remuneration on an annual basis. And those contributions, of course, with the growth in the fund, then provides the retirement benefit at the end of your employment career when you retire. The unemployment benefits one is a mandatory contributory fund, and there both the employee and the employer contributes, and currently each of them would contribute 1% of their the employee's monthly remuneration up to a maximum. So that's the current regime. So the retirement fund is you contribute to the fund, and at retirement you'll be able to withdraw from the fund. The unemployment fund, there's a mandatory contribution, but when you only benefit when you are no longer employed as an employee. And then the benefits are roughly between 38 and 60% of your salary at the time, up to a certain maximum.
Okay, so this 12% contribution number we're seeing in the Green Paper, is that an equal 50-50 split between the firms and their employees, or is it 12% from both parties?
It's not clear from the government, from the Green Paper. And I must say that this Green Paper is open for comment until the end of December. So we will get more detail as time passes. This is not very clear from it. But at the moment, the definite split that they do say is that the 12% will be split in two parts. 10% will go to this new mandatory new retirement fund, with 2% going to the current unemployment insurance fund. So they retain the current unemployment insurance fund. It is then stated in the Green Paper that all employers and employees will initially be obliged to contribute up to 12% of qualifying earnings. And up to a certain ceiling. So they bring in a ceiling of roughly 23,000 Rand per month, saying that an individual will contribute 3,300 Rand per year. Now, what it looks like is that there will be also an obligation on the employer to make a contribution to the fund, and not only on the employee. But the proposal is not that clear, because one would generally, when the employer contributes, as I often do, to your retirement fund, they take it out of the cost to company. So they agree that they'll pay you a salary, a portion they will contribute to the retirement fund, and a portion they will contribute, or the individual will contribute. So it's not clear whether the employer contribution will become a cost to the employer and a cost to the employee, which makes a 24% contribution.
Indeed. So ultimately, though, will these contributions to this fund, assuming these proposals do go through, will these contributions have to be mandatory, or will individuals have the option to say, no, I like my current system, I like the way it works, I like the flexibility, so I'll stick with that instead?
It looks like they will build in a bit of flexibility, but it's absolutely clear from the information that's available now that this will be a compulsory contribution. So they expect that workers who earn a higher income will divide their contributions between the new Social Security Fund and private sector fund. So they specifically mentioned this, that there is an expectation that people that can afford it will, of course, contribute to both funds. So, but the first 12% is absolutely mandatory. It will be based on the earnings of the person during that period, and will also contribute to the benefit at the end of the day. So they will encourage people that earn more than this compulsory contribution levy to contribute to private funds, and they make mention of the tax benefit there is to persons to do that contribution there.
Okay, one last question for you. The country already has an unemployment insurance fund. You mentioned how, in passing how it works already. So what exactly is this new proposal trying to set up with this, or rather trying to cure with this omnibus fund?
Yeah, there are a number of objectives that they've set out in the Green Paper. But I think it's to address some of the current problems that we have. So yes, the unemployment insurance fund is there, but it doesn't provide benefits on retirement. And at the moment, in terms of the legislation, the maximum period that you can benefit from the unemployment fund, and remember, you only benefit when you lose your job, so to speak, and that may be on retirement, is 8 months. So it doesn't give a long-term benefit from the fund. And the new National Security Fund will do that. It will give a much longer benefit period. Another problem is that the unemployment insurance fund benefits are only available to employees, similar to what I've said, that typically the retirement industry is also aimed at employees. So self-employed individuals, business owners, and informal workers that are not in formal employment will not benefit from that. And our problem is that, so the contributions to the unemployment insurance fund doesn't lead to post-retirement benefits. And notoriously, our South African public is not very good at saving for their retirement. And this is why this one of the main purposes of this government fund, that they will then have this compulsory benefit. And another problem, or compulsory fund. Another problem is that when employees change employment, they often tap into their retirement funds to settle debt and things like that. It looks like this new fund, which combines all of this into one, will not enable you to withdraw from that. So the money is there, it's protected until you retire. There's also a proposal to do away with the road accident fund benefits, and also to incorporate that into the retirement and into this new retirement vehicle. But of course, we'll have to wait and see the detail that comes through.
Indeed, some interesting proposals. We'll see how this conversation does evolve between now and December. Peter Nell there, the Tax Project Director of the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants.